Hello there and welcome to another video of Des Illustrates. It's been a little while since the last vlog that I uploaded here. And I've been doing some more painting lately than I've been doing for a while. I don't think I've painted much for July or the first half of August, but this last week I've been painting much more. I have done two butterfly pieces. The one that we are seeing right now is the second one of those. The first one I also filmed, but I have 2 hours of footage of that one. So I really want to do some more in detail videos, like paint with me kind of videos where I show how I did the flowers and stuff. So I will be working on that one most likely next week, and I hope to upload that video soon because I'm really excited about that footage. It's really nice. And yeah, I hope to upload that soon. These flowers that we are working on right now are poppy flowers, and while I was working on them, I didn't like them at all, especially this stage. If I felt that they lost a certain depth or a definition in which you could see where the flowers ended in the petals and stuff. And I decided to go work on the butterfly because I was focusing too much on the flowers and what I didn't like, and I knew if I kept working on them that I was going to ruin them. And you can see that I added a bit more definition to the petals later on with some white and some purple actually for the shadows. And yeah, I'm looking back on it, I'm much more happy with them than I was while I was working on them. So I am happy that I kept them and that I kept working on the piece. And the butterfly on this piece I am actually really happy with. I have to say that the butterfly of the first piece with the yellow flowers, you may have seen it on my Instagram, but that one I wasn't totally happy with the butterfly. One of the spots I had misplaced and the blue wasn't the shade of blue that I wanted. But yeah, this one I was totally happy with, and I think this is one of my favorite butterflies yet that I have painted this year. Something I also worked on was some stuff for Patreon. I didn't do much for Patreon in the beginning of August because of, like I said, the heat, and I couldn't handle that very well. So I have a lot of stuff left to do for Patreon in these last 2 weeks, or of the time of when I'm recording this voiceover. I have 1 week left, or even less, I think. So yeah, lots of stuff to do. And one of the things I was doing was these downloadable pages. You can try and color them yourself, or just print them and hang them on your wall if you like to, or you can use them as a screensaver. It's all up to you. You can do whatever you want with them for your personal use. So that's, I think, a really nice bonus that I have added to my Patreon. And also it gives me some time lapses of Procreate drawings that I can share with you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you like seeing these. I definitely like seeing them myself, and I know it's a bit different than the stuff I normally share because most of the stuff I do is traditional, and most of that is even watercolor with here and there some gouache or some sketching, but most of it is watercolor, so this is quite different. And yeah, just let me know if you would like to see more procreate speed paints in between some stuff in my vlogs, or if you really don't like seeing it at all. From all 5 drawings that I did for this month, I think I'm most happy with this one that we are currently watching. It's a red panda, and I just really like how it turned out. I did have some trouble with it while sketching out the first base of it. The paws and everything weren't that visible in the reference picture, so I had to improvise a bit here and there, and I had some trouble finding the right position. But yeah, I really like that one, and it's compared to this one and the last one, that's a bear cub, I didn't have much trouble with it at all. I think this polar bear, I drew it out 4 times, I think, before I was happy with it. I kept making the current layer less opaque and then redrawing on top, because I didn't like the line work and I didn't like how the subject was feeling and everything, so I kept redoing it. And in the end, I'm happy that I did so, because the end result I'm much more happy with than any of the previous drawings that I did, or layers. And when I look back on the previous layers, then yeah, this one is just much more, it feels much more realistic than where I started off with the polar bear, which I find a bit funny, because normally I have much trouble stylizing everything or anything, and the polar bear started out really stylized somehow, and it's really simple, and I don't know what happened or how I even did it, but I had real trouble making him look semi-realistic in the sketch, but it turned out really well in the end. And this one, I had most of the trouble in the face. Somehow every time I started shading the face and putting in more details with little hairs and stuff, the cup looked really old and almost a bit freaky in the face. And that took me a little while to get that better and get a nicer, rounder and softer face. But also that after trying that a couple of times, that turned out also really well. So in the end, I'm really happy with all 5 of them. And the other thing I was working on for Patreon are the trading cards. Like I mentioned, I think in my last vlog, I went from 5 little paintings to 1 little painting for that tire. And there's 1 original, so just 1 spot in the tire. And I'm using them as little prints for the tire below, so the $15 tire. And it's is just 1 of them for the tire, 1 little print, but I wanted to start being ahead with the packages so I can show it in front. So I have them done by now, and I have posted them on Instagram and Patreon already, but I'm now able to announce the package in front. So the second package that I announced, people can still sign up for that, so they know I had what they gonna get, instead of me still needing to make it. I hope that will draw some more people in, and that it will be more clear what the package and what the tire holds. So that's really why I did that. A little bit about these little paintings themselves. I decided to approach them a bit different than I normally do with my watercolor paintings. I sketched them out, and on the sketch I made with a dip pen, and I loaded it with watercolors in this time in red, because I knew the shield was gonna be red and the rest was gonna be dark, so I thought red would be really nice to accentuate that red and everything. And then when it was totally dry, I erased the pencil sketch completely, so I wasn't left with any pencil marks. And only then I started painting it. I had to be more careful while painting it because the line work was done with watercolors and not with ink or anything. And that means that it's able to activate again. So I didn't want to scrub the line work or anything, so I was painting really carefully inside the line works. And that's something I would like to invest in, some Indian inks that are permanent. So if I make something like this with line work, that I don't have to worry about the line smudging if I scrub the paper too much. And also I think it will be really nice to experiment with it to, in this case, layer with it, because Indian ink, like I said, is permanent. So if you let it dry and you do the next layer on it, then the previous layer below it will not activate. So I think that can give some really nice opportunities where I can do some different techniques and try out some different stuff in my paintings. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at some Indian inks. I have some Ecoline inks, but those are also not permanent, so that's only a little bit of the black ink I have. But that's, I believe, no Indian ink, just by the same brand, but it's no Ecoline ink, I mean, it's Indian ink. So the Ecoline itself is not permanent. And I have to say, by fault of myself, I thought that it was permanent. I didn't research it enough in front, and only the little back ink that I got is permanent and not the rest. So that was a bit of a bummer, but they are really nice and they are really beautiful colors. I haven't done a first impression on them yet. I still have to do that. I must say that I have used them less so far than I would have wanted to. And for me, that's mostly because I had trouble opening the caps. And next to that, I am a bit of a lazy artist myself. I'm also, like some of you may know, I'm chronically ill. So one of the things I have is that I don't have much power in my hands and they hurt really fast. So when I have to open a lot of those little bottles that won't open, I have to sometimes even open them with like one of those tools. I don't know the name, but like those really big tools you use for mechanic stuff and such. But yeah, that's holding me back a bit with them. They do reactivate in the palette, so I could drop some colors in a little palette that I got, this little flower palette with lots of wells. So I could do that and then reactivate them whenever I wanted to paint with them. But I really like the idea of painting with the liquid colors, so when they get right off the bottle, because that just makes them different to paint with than watercolors, and also gives you different opportunities, like to drop some color straight on the paper and get really vibrant, punchy textures. So yeah, I'm not sure how much I'm gonna use them because of that, but we will see, and I will talk more in depth about them in the first impression that I still need to film for that one, that I will be doing hopefully next month. But yeah, that's a bit about the line work and what I'm planning with it, because I do really like the effect that it had on the paintings in the end. It gives them a bit more of an illustrative look, and it keeps them still in the realistic vibe that I normally have with my paintings, but it's a bit more illustrative and a bit more clean than my normal drawings that I do. I'm a bit of maybe a bit hesitant still with my lines when I sketch in pencil, so often you get that hatching what you do when you're not sure where your lines are gonna go. And I'm really trying to break that habit, and the dip pen is really doing that for me. But so far I can only use that with watercolors, and that's just not perfect in watercolor paintings. But like I said, I really liked how it came out, so it worked fine in the end for this. It's just a bit of a workaround to not smudge the lines that you put down. I decided to keep the black in this little ladybird not too dark. In the picture it was pretty dark all over and just some really super shiny spots on the head mostly, and the rest was all really black, but I didn't want it to be that black. I wanted to have some more definition in the black areas and the feet. So I chose to use Payne's Grey. It's one of my favorite colors to use instead of black. I also really like the neutral tints, but that wasn't really fitting for this one. The neutral tint has a bit more of a purple tone underneath it. And in the end, I darkened some of the spots a bit up with trying to shade them. Like below the shield, it had to be darker because the light where it hits it, that wouldn't make sense if it was really light there. So building up from really light did give me the opportunity to make some areas a bit more defined. And in the end of this painting, when I had most of it done and really some less details, like some highlights mostly, and maybe some deeper shadings in the red was left at this point, I started working on the second one to give my eyes a bit of a break on this one. And I also had trouble deciding if I wanted to add something in the background, like some gold. And I posted it on Instagram what other people were thinking. And most of you said that you would like some gold added in the background. So I ended up doing it. And in the end, I'm really happy that I did. Um, we will see that in a minute. But first we are painting this 6 spots per net. As you can see, I did this line work with some dark blue watercolor. This mod is a lot darker than Beetle was, and it's mostly black. And here again I decided to keep the black less dark than it was in the picture, so I could define the wings a bit more with some lines of the veins that I was seeing in the picture. And I also wanted to use this oxidizing black that I had, although you can see a bit of the texture that it has, that watercolor, but most of the texture was lost on this paper. This paper is cellulose paper and not cotton paper, and I really noticed that the texture of this really beautiful paint got a bit lost on it, because normally it has like the name says, this oxidizing property, a bit like the violet I shared in my last vlog, but then just in black. The violet even has this black in it to make it that dusk color that it is. So I was a bit hesitant, I think, with the water, because the oxidizing happens more if you put more water in it, and I kept a bit low on the water, and maybe even a bit too low on how much black I used, because this black, even in the violet, has the property that it looks much darker when you put it down than how it dries, because it does that oxidizing. It collects in certain points in the painting, so when you put it down it looks really dark, and then it starts to settle in little puddles and little areas where it's darker and has more of that texture, and some of the other areas dry out and much lighter. So maybe I should have put it on a bit darker than I did, but that's something to try out next time for another painting. In the end, even without too much of that texture, I'm still happy with how the wings turned out, because of what I said, that I ended up making the wings a bit lighter. I had the opportunity to put in a lot of texture myself with the veins, so it ended up just fine. And I think even if the oxidizing black was more textured, it even would have been a bit too pussy. So in the end, it's maybe better that it didn't give me too much texture. The spots in this mod are gonna be red, and when I was painting them I realized that they were the exact same color scheme, and I really didn't color coordinate anything, or for not even for the packages, but also not in between these two trading cards. They just happened to be both the same colors, and I found it funny that they ended up being really similar, even though they were for two separate ones. And I might keep the style that I have for them now, with the watercolor line work and the little name of the creature for the animal that I have painted above them, because I really liked how it looked as a whole. And also, if I am gonna print them for the packages, I think that it gives a really nice vibe to have the like a line in the style for Avimon, so that if you gonna collect them, the little cards, then they also feel a bit similar. It will always be different animals, of course, but I just mean the line work with the watercolors, and maybe some gold in the back, and the name on top, with also done with a dip pen. I just think that it makes them a bit more cohesive, and I also think it gives people a bit of a better idea what to expect of my packages if it's a bit of a similar style. So yeah, I'm trying to make it all work, and I've been searching a lot of what I want to do with my Patreon rewards and what I want to do with these paintings and the packages and stuff, because I feel that I need to be of a certain level, and maybe I'm too critical on myself, but I just want it to be really nice, and I want people to be happy if they receive a package from me with some more nice art in it, and I want to be happy when I send them out and not full of doubt if it's good enough or anything. So yeah, I put some more thought in what I wanted and how I put it together, and these trading cards are now going in the print, so that's also a little extra touch. And the trading cards, the real ones, have gold in them, and I also gonna put gold in the prints that I'm gonna do by hand, because the printer won't print the shiny gold, of course. And I'm sorry if you keep hearing some weird noise. It's really windy out here at the moment. We have a little summer storm going on, and the wind is blowing really hard around the house, and every now and then it makes some weird noises. So if you're wondering what that is, it's the wind. Here we can see both of the paintings done, and yeah, like I said, I'm just really happy with these from the get-go, and normally I don't really have that with my paintings. Normally when I'm done, I first have this few hours or sometimes a few days that I think they didn't turn out like I wanted to, but these just turned out exactly like I wanted to, so that's really nice, and I'm super happy with it, and I'm probably gonna keep doing them like this. If you are still watching, I want to thank you in so much, because we have arrived at the end of the video, and I also want to thank my Patreons for supporting me over there and with that these videos, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.